Hello.
How are
Welcome.
You?
Oh my goodness. It's so good to see you.
Nice to see you too.
Welcome to my home.
Soultech Solutions lights is my grow light of choice and have been for a while. They are really the pioneers in grow lights that don't quite look like grow lights. And what I mean by that is that they took care and effort to design lights that blend nicely in with home decor, but also looked at other details like the temperature of the light, so it looks good within a space. And they have several different options for lights, including pendant lights, overhead lights, and also light bulbs. Now, I'm not alone in noticing this. You'll notice in many of the Houseplant home tours that we do, lots of houseplant enthusiasts use Soultech grow lights. So if you have a dark corner of your house where you'd like to grow some plants, or even if you just want to illuminate a section of your home that already has some light, but you could just use a little more, then I'd encourage you to check out their line of products if you're not already familiar with them. And you could use my code Homestead 2022 for 15% off regularly priced items, which will be good until the end of 2022. So how long have you been here?
I've been here for just a year now, actually.
Wow,
yeah.
That's crazy.
Thank you.
You really moved into the place.
I did, yes. I have a couple other friends who live in this building and their apartments are definitely not nearly as full as this. It's going to be a feat moving out, let's just say. I hope I'm here for many more years.
Well, that's good. Are you on a year-to-year lease?
I'm on an 18-month lease,
okay.
and it's kind of, like I said,
they give you a little extra?
Yes, it's a little up in the air whether or not I'll be staying here, but fingers crossed.
Well, it's really nice because, you know, I'm thinking of like, we're moving and everything along those lines, but you know, to be able to start like with a clean slate and then, I mean, clearly it was nice because you have this apartment and it seems very clean and open and spacious and very well curated.
Thank you. This was actually my first home that I like fully decorated myself. I lived with a roommate for the past 3 years before this. And it was kind of a mix of our furniture, and I was like financially stressed when we moved in. So this space I like moved in, I would say like 95% of everything I have in here is like from when I just moved in, and I'm feeling really good about it. And it's honestly the first home of my 7 apartments that I lived in Philadelphia, which is crazy because I'm only 27. But I'm really feeling confident with the space for like the first time ever.
That's such a relief. That's really great to hear, and to feel like you've really come into your own in your own space.
Thank you.
And also that you're able to not have to compromise with a roommate, because it's like if somebody doesn't like your plants or says, I don't want that in the bathroom or whatever it might be.
Yeah. And I had plants before we lived together. She was the best friend of mine, so like she knew what she was getting into. I probably had like 90 plants before we lived together.
Yeah.
But there was definitely moments where I felt like I was stepping on her toes. And I have a roughly 300 plants in this apartment, but in the old one I had upwards of 450. So I downsized quite a bit.
But this feels good. I kind of feel like there's a time and place for everything. I mean, even with like my own move, I'm kind of like, this seems not feasible right now. Yeah. You know what I mean? So it's like, can we cut back? Can we? And sometimes if it's too encompassing, but here you feel like, wow, this is like decoration, but also very beautiful as well.
Thank you. Yeah, it was a little bit more of like a plant hoarder's nest in the old apartment, but here, everything for the most part, I'm sure there's a couple of things that you're going to see that are a little out of place, but everything mostly has its place.
I'm not here to judge.
Oh, well, thank you. I'm very glad to hear that.
I'm here to admire.
Well, thank you. There's certainly a lot. I've worked in the industry for a couple years prior. I'm about a year out of the industry. I was a buyer at Urban Jungle in South Philadelphia.
Yeah, we actually visited that place.
Okay, cool. Yeah. I wonder how they are doing. It's been a little bit. But no, I got a lot of plants through them. There was just a lot of really excellent people in the industry that I got to know very, very well through them. And I have amassed a lot. And also just like working on YouTube and stuff, I've gotten to know like many other online purveyors that have some really incredible plants.
Yeah. So you said you were in the industry. Did you extract yourself from the industry, or are you kind of focusing on other things now?
For now, I'm just focusing at home. I would love to have my own store. That is the end goal. I'm taking a couple years. I know that's a lot of work, and I'm just like really grateful to have this experience that I have now. So I'm just kind of taking a couple years to get myself together before I know I'm working like 7 days a week.
Right.
So, but I really loved the industry. I didn't love I'm not good with authority. Not that I had any issues with the people that I worked with, but just like in the end, I was like, I'm already working for myself at home. I want to keep doing that and then continue to work for myself.
That's
just
fine.
preference.
Yeah, that's fine to actually recognize that you want to be, your own person and, how you interact with others and all that other kind of stuff. So I think that's perfectly fine. You just like acknowledge and know yourself at the end of the day.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Well, why don't you share some of your stuff, and maybe you have some stories behind some of your plants.
And
maybe some are new, so you don't have that many stories. But take us through some of the things and what you're thinking. I mean, this looks like a really cool shelf and with the little accoutrements and.
Thank you. Yeah. Believe it or not, most of the stuff in this apartment is from Wayfair. You can really do well with what they have on there.
Well, you could get some really good deals.
Yes,
Wayfair.
Absolutely. And with a couple nicer pieces, I think that you can really just make it work. Summer.
Well, you could start with your gloriosum here.
Yeah, absolutely. So down on the floor, there's this gorgeous gloriosum. I actually just dropped my phone on this leaf, so I'm kind of propping it up right now, hoping that it will stay a little bit more upright. But we're just getting into the growing season. You can see this new leaf right here has a little bit of like discoloration from just getting going.
Yeah.
This is just the beginning of spring, of course, so like things are just getting going. Some things do need to acclimate, but I've had this for years and I have to constantly repot it because since it's a creeping philodendron, it like gets, and I don't have it that high in the pot, it reaches the end and it kind of like will snap and break on the new leaves, which is a little frustrating because literally every year I have to repot it, but it keeps things exciting. Also, the Aglaonema Spring Snow is one of my favorite Aglaonemas. I think they are just so gorgeous, but this one has really been doing very, very well in the low light area.
Look, it's got a little flower.
Yeah, hopefully it's not stressed and it's happy, but I feel confident it's happy because I've had this for a couple of years and it's been thriving in this darker corner of my home.
Well, it's also nice that you have this like kind of splotch of white, that kind of like draws your attention to like you said, a darker corner.
Absolutely, and I think it goes well with the gold accents, which the apartment has some gold accents.
Yeah.
Which the apartment has more modern vibes, but I'm trying to run with this more like of the earth feeling in my living room.
Right, and you're bringing it together with like some of the basketry. I mean, this is a beautiful hanging basket.
Thank you. I got that on Etsy.
Yeah.
And the pothos is new.
Yeah, I'm a big believer of baskets. I'm like, and also just like putting your plants in baskets, if you want to get away from that kind of modern, look.
Absolutely. Wicker and wood and like ceramic, terracotta just complement each other so well.
Absolutely.
So I really love that. I use a lot of glass cloches. I don't supplement humidity in my home, although it is pretty humid because it's a humid day-to-day outside.
Yeah.
But you can see there's a begonia Milana Ballata in there, which I'm afraid to take out because I do need to water it, but I know I'm not going to be able to get it back in as beautifully as it is now.
I got this like giant cloche for my Aglaonema pictum tricolor, and I think with the Aglaonema pictum tricolor, you could probably go without a cloche because I had for a while, but now I put it in, and when I took it out, it did not like it, and I'm like, I need a bigger glass. I don't know where you could get such a big glass from.
That is my issue with some plants. Not to cut over here real quick, but I do have this Begonia Natuneensis.
Oh, I love that one.
And it's been growing here, like out of the sunlight forever, but I had it in a glass cloche at first. You can see some of the old leaves are kind of just like, getting to know itself.
Right.
I put it in a Ziploc bag and kind of just like kept it like cracked open a little bit to like have a little bit more humidity, and now it's been living outside of that for like 4 months now, and this newest leaf is just freaking gorgeous. It's like got lily pad vibes.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, I love the peltate structure that gives that leaf, like the petiole connects right here. It looks like a little flattened umbrella.
Yeah, that's a really good way to put it, But a really fun plant. I'm really getting into begonias just now. I only have a couple. I feel like whatever Steve's Leaves sends me whenever we do unboxings is what I bring into my home, and whichever survives. But honestly, like a lot of them have been doing really well. I was just on the phone with them the other day telling them how great their begonias are doing because they know I'm a little nervous about caring for begonias.
Yeah. Well, I had never, like begonias to me, when I see a whole, like if I don't know a cultivar, I'll send it to Steve. But sometimes they don't even know because the cultivars are just like such a wide range of them. And like, the nuance of the coloration or even some of the structure, I'm just like, I don't see it yet, but sometimes.
And if they don't know, that's how you know it's something special because
he's like,
they have everything.
He's like, it could be this or this, and then he sends it to like Don, his friend, who's like the Mr. Begonia guy, and I'm like,
Don Miller, yes.
Yeah.
Cool, that's amazing. I'm very happy to hear that.
Yeah.
What else is on here that is a standout? I love like plants that look like weeds. Like I grew up in the suburbs of Philadelphia and I would go to the woods all the time. Peace Valley Park was my home. So I love anything that looks like it could be like growing out of the ground or even just like the sidewalk here in Philadelphia. The Cisadenipoda definitely has that vibe. And it grabs onto everything. I have to pull it out to water it because it's still in its nursery planter. And I literally have to constantly like pull it off, like this Peperomia scandens that's up there struggling a little bit, but it's
But that's okay because I do like how plants like the Peperomia or whatever could fill in between. I mean, like I think Discidias are like that as well. Even Hoyas could be like that, you know?
Absolutely.
Kind of a process to rip them off because they might be tendrilled onto something and then you're like, oh no, everything else has come off the shelf. But
I have knocked a couple things off here before. It's been a problem.
But it's beautiful because you have given breathing space on the shelf, and I know that's something that we all struggle with because we want to stack our shelves really thick, and that's fine too. But it's always a push and pull for the plant people.
Which this shelf I kind of did a little bit more intentionally. All of my other shelves have grow lights on them, so this one I have a little bit more unintentionally placed. So I have just, although it is intentional in some points, where I kind of have the plants scattering back and forth. What I have in the other open spaces kind of goes back and forth to make it just feel a little bit more just natural, and like I didn't place it there, like it's just been living there for many, many moons.
Right.
So. And then I have underneath my soultech solutions aspect light here, a little plant display. This is new. I had my Schefflera Nova here before, but it was just overtaking the space.
I had one over my sink, and it likes to just kind of move into the sink, and you're like, okay, I do have to wash the dishes at some point.
It's a very robust plant, let's say.
Yeah.
But closest to the light are the ones that need the most light, like the Hoya macrophylla. It's a little bit of yellowing leaves on it. Probably could pull it down and give it a little cleanup. Peperomia elongata. And then there's the more plants that like some darker light underneath, like the ferns and the Aglaonema. Yes, Sideraceus. That is
and then
a very nice one.
Your orchid is blooming right now?
Yes, it's nearing the end of its bloom cycle, but it still looks fantastic. And I just leave it be. I don't mind the dead flowers. I think it gives it character.
Yeah. I never clean off the stalk at the end. I just like kind of let it do what it needs to do.
It's nature working at its best.
Yeah, and then you have your asparagus over here.
Yeah, and that new growth looks really funky too. It gives me like kind of like wheatgrass vibes.
Oh yeah,
super
cool.
fun,
Look at
super
that.
fun.
Are any of them like? No, I thought there might be flowering at some point.
I thought that multiple times. I put it on my Instagram story and people are like, no, it's just leaves. I'm like, it looks so cool though.
And then what is this philodendron?
So I purchased that as a Mexicanum, but people on my YouTube channel have told me,
red.
no, it's not.
Yeah.
So people have told me it's a philodendron Jerry Horn, but I purchased it from, if you're familiar with Glass Houseworks,
they're
not
a
very
little disorganized.
Yeah, they don't. Their
and you
names
might
are not
get it
accurate.
like 6 months from now. You know,
You might get it 1 week, you might get it 6 months,
Yeah,
but I would say
yeah.
50% of the plants I've gotten from them are not accurately
Okay.
labeled. However, they do great. The leaves up top are getting huge. It obviously took a little time to get acclimating, but since I have it on this trellis, they're like 18 inches long.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like your Mexicanum would have the red bottoms or whatever, but
Which it says on the website. But then they gave me a plain green one.
They probably accidentally sent you something else.
It's totally okay.
But it reminded me of like the philodendron, and it has like a number at the end, so I don't think it had been identified. But then if some people are saying, hey, because I don't know all the newest Aroids out there as well, but if your folks are telling you, hey, that's this cultivar, then they're probably right. You know, at the end of the day.
No, I trust them. I've heard it enough.
So it's nice. You have because you could see the difference of the size of the leaves as you give it something to grow up on.
Absolutely. And it looks really great with the Syngonium chiapens.
Yes. And your Syngonium is dark.
Yes.
It's dark.
It's very dark. It doesn't have those like kind of veins that it sometimes gets. I don't know if it's what the deal is because it's right next to this window and this is an east-facing window, so it does get some good sunlight.
Right. So you'd think it would be a little lighter at the end of the day.
Absolutely.
Yeah, interesting.
And kind of fun hiding underneath on the mount is a Discidia acuminata. I think that's a little bit more like a botanical garden like variety of Discidia. It's like a clumping variety and the leaves kind of feel like buttery smooth. I just kind of like it. There's a lot of really popular plants over in this window area.
Yeah.
There's like the variegated string of hearts, the string of pearls. I have this monstera down in the window that is like It's like
this one?
Yeah, it's like a green variegated one. I actually found that growing.
It's very limey.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
There isn't like a name on it.
It's like a minty. It's like the mint kind of variegation.
Yeah, everyone tells me it's the Aria, but it's definitely not.
No, it doesn't look like the Aria.
And I found that just like growing in one of the pots on a regular Monstera Deliciosa.
Oh, really? So you did a cutting?
Yeah. Well, I just yanked the whole thing out of the plant.
Lucky
Because
you.
I worked there. I'm allowed to do that.
You're like, lucky you.
The one down there, do you see how weird and mutated that is?
Yeah.
That was another one I found. It does not look good.
Yeah.
It does not look good, but I have to hold on to it to see what happens.
I wonder, yeah, it's interesting because it does have those splotches. Was it on the same plant or a different plant?
It was in the same batch,
Oh,
but it
okay,
wasn't
interesting.
on a different plant.
Yeah.
But it was funny that I found I found one of them and I was like, well, let me just look for more.
Yeah.
And I found another one.
Fascinating.
One of
yeah.
them was worth it.
Wow. And then you have your pink princess here and everything.
Those are, you know, they look great when you buy them.
They look great when you buy them. They look great when they're bushy. It is a struggle as you start growing them up. I'm like, do these want to grow up or not? You know, they tend to want to grow up, but then sometimes their leaves get a little smaller. I'm like, what is this?
Or they put off all the pink.
Yeah, exactly.
I cut it back pretty often. I actually have another one on the floor right there that's like the mother plant, so I just kept cutting it back and then just repotting it. But I want to get rid of one of them eventually.
Well, I love your curtains. I mean, these are great.
Thank you.
The peperomia hope and everything like
so
that.
That was given to me from Steve's Leaves as a peperomia boii vinei, but I think it's just a peperomia hope where it's very, very closely related.
Close to it, yeah.
The leaves look a little bluer and pale, but that's literally the only difference I can possibly find with it. But I'm sure they would know a little bit more about that than me.
They probably would. And I noticed that he does sell peperomia bovinii. I don't even know if they sell peperomia hope at all.
Okay.
So you might be actually right.
They get
but
their
it does
stuff
feel
from
very like, it does look like a hope.
Yeah, they get their stuff from botanical gardens, so I do trust them.
Yeah.
A lot more than Glasshouse Works.
Yeah, Glasshouse Works is a little like, a little tenuous.
Yeah, absolutely. And then by my TV area, actually for my TV stand, I'm just repurposing some crates that I used to use for storage. But when I was
beautiful.
Thank you. Yeah. When I was moving here, I just needed a TV stand in it.
Yeah.
It just kind of worked.
That's perfect.
Thank you. Yeah.
Nice and rustic.
There's the Calathea mosaica, which I know is kind of popular, or the what is it, Gippertia kegelgenia or something.
I never know
gibberish.
the species name.
I just go by the old ones most of the time. But there's no grow light supplemented here, but they are still pretty close to the south face or the east facing windows. So
east is a nice window as well. Do you have tilt and turns windows?
It's barely like a little bit towards the south more than the north.
No, but I mean the windows, does it open like a tilt and turn?
No, sorry, I thought you meant tilted. No, they just open out like, no.
Oh, okay.
That would be great though. Sorry. What else do I have? The Stromanthi, I have tried growing this plant for many, many years. It's, you know, as prayer plants can be a headache. This is probably my 5th or 4th attempt, and finally it's growing phenomenally for me. This one's been going strong for over a year now. And I ironically placed the Aglaonema chocolate because I think it looks like a Calathea ornata, but it behaves much better in my opinion.
Behaves like an Aglaonema, looks like a Calathea ornata.
Yes, which that's what I love about Aglaonemas. They just have that vibe. They have like the same energy and just like overall appearance of a lot of prayer plants, but a completely different demeanor, which I just
that's
really
a really nice way to actually put it, because there's also a lot more coloration that you could go with some of the Aglaonemas.
Yeah, and you're gonna see it on top. With the prayer plants, it's usually hiding on the bottom.
Yeah.
Or they get brown leaves and then they just kind of look like a nightmare.
By the way, I love your fern little art collection right here
Thank you.
as well.
They are, I believe, from World Market, believe it or not.
Nice.
And then just a little smattering of plants. I just kind of have fun with it.
Yeah. And then what's this orchid up here?
So that's a Bretonia, the Shelob Tolkien. It's a little beat up because I don't get to water it that much, but I actually rescued that. I used to work at a bar in my early 20s, and they decorated with orchids, and the lady who worked there, as soon as they were done blooming, she would just throw them out. And they were like 99% Phalaenopsis, but they had this one one day, and I was like, she's not throwing that one out. So I just kind of took it home with me one day. No one noticed, so it was fine. But I recently
no one noticed, or no one cared.
No one cared. No one cared. I was the only person who liked plants.
Yeah.
But it blooms a lot, and the blooms smell fantastic. It kind of smells like jasmine tea.
So is it white? A white bloom?
No, it's like a purple yellow. It's actually quite beautiful, and I don't think it's known for being fragrant, but it's always been fragrant in my home, particularly in the morning and the night. It's quite fantastic. However, the mealybugs love the flowers.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
They might even like destroy the flowers before they're like. They might even destroy the flowers before they come in because I might not even notice that they're on the flower spike, and then they just completely annihilate it.
Interesting. When I think of my mealybugs, I think that I never really find them on the flowers. I feel like I find them on the newest growth, but then the new growth there seems a little like, doesn't seem like a mealybug, place that they want to hang.
Yeah, I don't normally find them unless the new leaves are coming in and they're folded shut, which sometimes they do with that orchid if they're kind of just taking their time. But no, I don't normally have a mealybug problem with many of the orchids because I don't really have that many orchids, to be honest. So most of my orchids are rescues.
Your Schefflera is huge.
Thank you.
Look
That's
at
why
that.
I had to move.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it has a little bit of a mealybug problem. The new leaves, like I said, were getting a little beat up. I couldn't tell if it was from mealybug.
This is a pretty resilient plant, though.
It is.
Yeah.
No, I'm not concerned about it. In fact, I do release beneficial insects, and I was gonna wipe this leaf off last night because I saw some mealybug, but I saw a lacewing crawling around doing its work. So.
Yeah. Well, you know what? That's so interesting that your new growth comes in red because mine's not ever come in red like that.
You know what? So I first saw this plant at Longwood Gardens. That's what made me want to buy this plant. The new growth was coming in so red and kind of burnt colored that I literally went home and looked it up online to see where I could buy it and ordered it immediately.
Yeah. So you didn't get it at Longwood.
No,
you saw it at Longwood.
No, I saw. I ordered it from Hawaii.
Yeah.
It's a difficult plant to find.
Yeah, I've actually ordered mine when I first found it. I mean, it was probably 7 or 8 years ago now when I got my first Schefflera in Villanova. But I was like, this seems different enough that it's a different species. That's what I thought, at first. But then I also realized that Schefflera is not a genus that a lot of people have studied. So it could very well, who knows? It could very well be something, unique or different. And I found it on eBay, and I had bought 2 at the time because I was like, there was one, I don't even know where the supplier was, but I was like, wow, these are really cool looking. Because I really love that umbrella shaped leaf. And this was just, very unique and different. Kind of had like a fern-shaped leaves, but still had the umbrella look. I loved it.
Yeah, and I find myself drawn to the philodendrons with the kind of jagged lobed leaves. So that kind of gave me that vibe, which in the room it's in Longwood Gardens, it's right across from a beautiful philodendron Florida beauty. So it was just kind of speaking to me, and I was like, I think I need to give this plant a go.
Was that in the conservatory?
Yes, it is, yeah, in there.
I'll be heading to Longwood, so I'll have to look out for it if they still have it there.
Oh, they have tons. They have multiple, 15 to 16 foot tall bushes.
Yeah.
Crazy.
What's this one down here below?
The one all the way underneath?
Yeah.
That's a Primalina sinensis. So back when I worked at Urban, I did a lot of business with this man named Gary. Have you ever seen and I'm sure they're local in New York as well, the little tiny 2-inch plants that have the blue tags in them?
Yeah.
So that's Gary, and he loves growing Asian violets, which is the common name for that. So I had to give a couple Asian violets a try, and they are gorgeous.
And that's a species then?
Yes, sinensis. It does not sell very well.
Okay.
People don't really seem to like Primalinas on the market.
Is it because, I know that whole just Nereid kind of group hasn't really picked up yet.
Not yet.
Yeah, and
I love them.
I know people usually get them oftentimes for their flowers. So does it have a unique flower? But it obviously has a really unique leaf.
Yeah, it does bloom. They all look kind of different. That one has purple, whitish flowers, similar to an African violet, a little bit more dainty.
Yeah.
It's definitely more about the foliage.
Yeah.
I mean, that's some pretty great foliage, but I would say in the grand scheme of Primalinas, that's pretty underwhelming. There are some pretty enigmatic foliage, and some of them have purples on the back sides of the leaves.
Right.
There's some really amazing ones.
Yeah. I also, I've seen ones that are literally oppressed, and it looks like a succulent that's been pressed down, and it's flattened.
Yes.
Which looks pretty cool.
That one is super cool.
Yeah.
It's the plant of next year, let's say. Yeah. Maybe it's taking some time to gain some traction, but I feel confident. Yeah. Gary's onto something.
Yeah. 2023, 2024, maybe it's, future.
Yes.
And then you have some beautiful hanging plants right here as well.
Thank you. Yes. Some peperomias, the tetragona and the quadrangularis. There's a Hoya, the Wayetii variegata.
These are such tiny little...
Aren't they?
Yeah, tiny little quadrangularis.
Yeah, that one was from Steve's Leaves.
Yeah.
And theirs look so much different than the ones that have been popping up on the market lately.
This one's so much quainter, but maybe he's giving a specific kind of light that makes it a little tighter, I guess.
I've had that one for 4 years, so it could be the light that I'm giving it. The leaves are a little larger inside the planter, but I really like them that.
They're really tiny. Cute. Yeah, I like it.
And then some cissus. I think cissus are like the unsung hero of the houseplant world.
Well, they just remind me of grapevines, right?
Right.
You know, like,
or people say poison ivy on YouTube. Which I'm like, I feel you. They say that about the Adenophoda as well.
Yeah.
But they're just such lush plants. They're ridiculously inexpensive. And I love, like I said, like the whole like weedy vibe, and like English ivy fits that, but I cannot grow that. It gets spider mites. And like I would get in shipments at the plant store of English ivy with spider mites. So like after 5 times I was like, we're not selling English ivy anymore. So it's gorgeous, but I just can't deal with it. And these are much more pest resilient.
Yeah. Well, I think the other thing that you have to struggle with the English ivy, and when my house was going under renovation, when my apartment was going under renovation, it clung to my wall, and I ripped off a lot of my paint. Now, I could get away with it because it was like there, and my landlord was like MIA and all this other kind of stuff. But I feel like when you're in like an apartment like this, you have to be a little bit more conscious of like the fixtures. And cissus doesn't do that, you know what I mean? Like, but heterohelix will, you know?
Yes, I do put some holes in the wall, but I do try my hardest to not make too much damage. Let's just say that the security deposit here is non-refundable, so I'm taking advantage of that. And the peperomia right here has been kind of just like flourishing. It's been, how do I want to word this? It's scrambling all over the place.
Yeah.
It was sitting over here where this peperomia hoffmanii is, and it was just kind of going around the TV, and I took it out to water it one day, and I couldn't get it back, so I decided I have to hang it up. So now it's looking very lush and gorgeous up here, and growing even better, I would say.
And then you have an orchid way up here. I don't want to, like, you know, pass it up.
So that was actually, I had that piece of wood in my cabinet. The Ripsalis on there is totally dead. But there
I didn't even see that. Oh, I see it hanging down now.
I'm just leaving it because it has some fun like Tarzan vibes. But no, I just like wanted to make some room. I found that piece of wood. I just had a couple plants. I had the orchid, Phalaenopsis. I took a piece of the Britonia and just threw it on there. There's a Hoya. I think it's like some kind of Carnosa, like dappled gray or something like that. But
those are the ones that I just forget about for all too long when they're up there.
Oh yeah.
I'm like, oh yeah, I'll water that next week.
I do not get up, especially it's right above my couch. I have to like move everything to get up there and get it. So it is a little difficult.
It's like a dog, you have to let it shake off afterwards, or otherwise if you put it up there, it drips on your head while you're watching TV.
Oh, it stays down for a couple days. And I have a lot of mounts too. There's a lot more in the bedroom.
Yeah, let's go check them out.
So I have pardon the cat toys, she likes to pile them up. I have on this wall here a whole bunch of mounts that I made them all actually.
Nice.
One air plant is just kind of placed in there, but then the rest of them are Discidias and Hoyas, one Ripsalis. And I will take them down, I'll throw them all in the shower, and then I'll just give them, let them dry for a day or two before I put them back up to avoid any more damage than they already are causing to the wall.
Yeah.
On some of the mounts, I'll put like a piece of felt behind to keep them from being in contact, like the staghorn fern up here.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Thank you.
Like a little felted. Do you glue the felt on the back, or how do you?
Just by adhesive felt.
Yeah, that's smart. No, it's smart, but it's simple and smart.
Thank you.
And then you have all these trellising up.
There is a whole Aroid selection and a Drymonia. Just kind of chilling there. It needs to find a new home.
Yeah.
But
right here.
Yes. But no, this is a whole little just like bench display. It's kind of playing with the one in the living room with just different vibes of the white, and this is a little bit more. Has a little bit more variety than the one in the living room. There's, even though it looks like basically just the one philodendron on there, there's I think 9 plants growing up the trellis.
Oh yeah, you almost like have to count them all, you know?
Yeah, so there's that bipinifolium there, there's a squamiferum, there's what I was sold as a Bernardo Pazia. I can't tell you for certain if it is.
Is this one? This one?
That's the
okay.
Hoya, or I'm sorry, Syngonium macrophyllum.
This one?
Yeah, and then right above that, I don't even know what that is.
Oh yeah, this one.
I don't know if it's a philodendron. It was sold to me as a syngonium from like some random greenhouse in Florida.
Yeah.
People are saying it's like the philodendron like Holtoni. I don't know how to pronounce it.
Holtinium or something.
But I'm not convinced, I will say.
And then you have this one right here.
Yeah, that's the one that's just taking over the whole thing.
Yeah.
That's my philodendron erubescens red emerald. And I've had that for years.
This is so thick.
Right?
What is this?
That's the philodendron Burlmark's Fantasy. It's
no,
like
but it's so thick.
Right. It really has been holding on to that
like
succulent.
Black.
Yeah, no, I think it's because it's in that corner there. It is kind of hidden.
Oh
Unlike
my
the
God.
Chia Pence, that was like really just like it soaks in the light because the window's a little bit more close to it. This one's
Yeah.
really hidden more in the corner.
Yeah.
And it really seems to be enjoying it. The Campos Portoa, not as much,
Yeah,
but it's
started
kind
to
of
get a little.
Yeah, but it's trying.
Yeah.
It's trying really hard.
This could be I find that this is a really weedy philodendron. It gives you really long, I don't care how much light you give it, it gives you long internodes in between and kind of like goes a little crazy.
Yeah, but it's like a fancier Micans kind of vibe.
Yeah,
think it's
totally,
kinda
with
cool.
that same texture of the leaf.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got a lot here, and
Thank
then
you.
Raphidophora over here.
Yeah,
of course.
so that in my old home
Here's
was,
a Mexicanum, isn't it?
that's an Atabapoense.
Oh, Tabapoense, okay. Yeah, look at that with the red bottoms. This one has actually started to really crawl for me, so I was like, should I give you a backing or not? I might actually just end up clipping it because it's a very good grower, I find.
If I could fit it on the trellis, I would, but I
Yeah.
don't think I have any more room up there.
You need to grow like gangbusters to get up there with the rest of them.
Yes, if it ever does, I will leave it. Because
Yeah.
the Bernardo Pazzi, I started doing that. It was on the floor and it started to reach up to it, and I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna move you on up.
And then is this like an Ikea shelf that
It
you
is.
like kind of turned into like a light box?
Yes, it's two of them. It's a little bit more for function than aesthetic for me at this point. Doesn't really fit my room vibe, which is kind of more of this like vintage meets modern. But it works for me very, very well to be able to grow like 60 to 70 plants on here. A lot of peperomia, a lot of Hoya, a couple like one-off plants. I have like a palm, a euphorbia.
The Leucanura.
Yeah, that one's gorgeous.
I love the white veins. That one's a really nice, I see them a lot smaller, but yours is really nice and robust.
Thank you. Yeah, I've only had that one for about 6 months, but it's put on. You can see all the new leaves it's put into the more lighter green ones.
Yeah, it's happy under the lights.
Yeah, and then the multiflora is getting ready to bloom underneath that one leaf there. There's a whole cluster of flowers.
Oh, here, this one, yeah. I was like looking for it. This is one of the kind of shrubbier Hoyas.
Yes, I love that one. It's very, very easy to grow.
Yeah. Now that you're speaking about mealybugs, I remember that when my Hoya got flowers, that's where I found mealybugs on the flowers of these. But they also get a little sugary.
Those are very drippy flowers in comparison to any of the other ones I've grown in my home. Although it does bloom very, very easily, so I'm kind of okay with it.
Which one is this one?
That's Anthurium veitchii.
Okay, so it's funny, I didn't recognize it because it's like, stubbier.
Yeah,
it's not full grown.
Believe it or not, I've had that for like 2 years, but it's really taking its time going. It's not the easiest plant. Anthuriums are, I'm still learning with them. I have the other Anthurium magnificum up there that's brand new. I've only had that one for like a month. That one's from Logis. But it's stunning, and I'm hoping it's gonna stay looking like that for a very long time.
And is this what kind of Hoya is this?
That's what's on the market right now as Pachycleta.
Oh, okay.
I'm not sure if it truly is. I never know what's going on with the market.
Yeah, I don't know either. You won't know until it flowers, but my Pachycleta's leaves are, if mine is a Pachycleta, well, my Pachycleta did bloom, so I think it is a Pachycleta. Its leaves are so much thicker. Like this has thick leaves, but my Pachycleta is like thicker than this,
Well, I've seen these in at garden centers sold as Pachycleta, and some of them get like really thin and kind of like curled leaves. I don't know if it's like how they're growing in the greenhouses.
Interesting.
Or what the deal is, but I can't speak anymore.
Hoyas, it's like you gotta wait for it to flower and then you make your assumption after that.
I'll accept it though, it's cool.
Yeah,
it's just starting to give me some new growth, although it's a little funky, but that's usually what happens at first.
Yeah, and then which one's this?
That is, it's not doing that great. That's a Hoya Bertonier affinity. I have another one down here that's looking way better.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
With the light, and it starts to redden up along the edges too.
Yeah, that one's in much better condition.
Oh, and I love my little peperomia incana.
That's one of my favorite peperomias.
Yeah.
I love fuzzy plants. I have a soft spot for them. That's why I have the sideraceous on my desk.
They have a soft spot for you too.
Thank you. It's flowering. I will sometimes find some mealybugs on the flowers.
Yeah,
but.
and another fuzzy peperomia.
Yes.
They call this one the belly button peperomia sometimes. I don't know why. Fuzzy belly buttons.
That's adorable.
Yeah.
And then there's some Discidia up here. I kind of want to play with this display a little bit more because the foliage is just very the same versus in the other windows. It's a lot of different textures and colors, but this is just where these fit.
Yeah.
There's a Discidia Jerry. There's what's on the market as like Eliantha variegata. I think it has a different name. And then that's a Hoya Kauai, which is just starting to get growing for me. You can see a bunch of new growth on it, which is great because it was growing a bit. You can see it has some tendrils on it, and then after the move, it was just like, no.
This is exactly how my Hoya calistophylla looks, and it's just in just 2 leaves and never will be beyond its 2 leaves is what I fear.
And I've had that for about 1.5 years.
Yeah. I got a little cutting from my friend, and I'm like, I said, okay, granted, we got this in like late, early fall or whatever, and it's been winter, and like maybe in the springtime, but, and I'm like, maybe I should give it some heat below to like get the roots growing, but it's taking its dear time.
Yeah, it's definitely one of the slower Hoyas. That's what I've always heard about it. Reject plants back there. Ignore that.
Come on, they're fuzzy. Come on.
Well, this is kind of down here, my little rejuvenation station.
Oh, I see.
It's
Everyone
just,
has one of these spaces.
Yeah, it's hidden away, but it's still in some good sunlight. That's kind of why I got this bench, because it's like I didn't want to use it for like a whole plant display, but just kind of out of the way.
This is a good like mud bench actually. If you like come in and you kick off your shoes. But,
you can have it in the bedroom, so But this is pretty cool. This is a bunch of philodendron hostatums that are just like single nodes.
Wow, nice.
And they've been in here for like 6 months, and they're all just starting to grow. That one leaf has a little bit of thrips damage on it, but I took care of it. But
that's great.
Yeah, so I just like take these little food containers, just like throw the like single nodes in if I have like a rampant vine and I'm just like not happy with the way it looks. And yeah, it's cool. I have a couple, but this is the most notable one.
Amazing.
And just some like pothos and stuff, Hoyas that are just needing some rejuvenation. But yeah, like I said, the rejuvenation station.
That orchid.
Yeah, that's an orchid. Well, not orchid. It's a.
Is it not an orchid?
Well, it is orchid, but the name of the genus is not orchid.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I forget what that is. It's something. Oh, it's a Brassilova yellow bird. The tag's a little cut off. That one's from Waldorf Orchids. I think it says like I think it's a
something.
yellow
bird.
Brassicadilea or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, yellow bird.
It's a nice structure.
It is pretty cool, and the flower is, although it's called yellow bird, the flower is a really beautiful pale pink, which is why I bought it. It's gorgeous. And then I have just like the shelf up here that's actually pretty new to me, with just some more like trailing vines, the Peperomia japonica, and the begonia, believe it or not, Begonia polygonoides, which is just like more of like a Hoya peperomia vibe.
Yeah, look on the one on the right.
Yeah, and those are all hand-thrown planters, so I really enjoy them by small artists.
The Pilea peperomoides planter is gorgeous.
Thank you. That's from a local artist.
Yeah.
Some really beautiful pottery.
And then you have your curtains over here.
Yeah. I mean, so I had this a little bit more robust in the old. I had this a little bit more robust in the old apartment, but I like to just have some trailing vines. There was a beautiful golden pothos, which is why I have a golden pothos up there now, because I didn't realize it, but I got rid of every single golden pothos when I moved here because I just assumed I had another one because there was like 10 of them. Anyway, long story short, that's why I have a new one.
Yeah.
The philodendron, I think, so that was sold to me once again as from Glass Houseworks as domesticum, so I don't know what it is. It might be some type of hostatum.
Yeah.
But it's pretty cool just the way it's just really like a full trailing houseplant. I love just the plain green like
and it's also like
leaves.
growing up like this way, and it has a really thick, kind of internodes. It's a neat growth, even though for how like it's just like plain Jane green, but
Yeah, no, I really appreciate it. And it was like $5, so like philodendrons don't cost that anymore.
No, not at all.
And then just for a little like juxtaposition, I have the Ceropegia linearis, or Ceropegia linearis debilis, or whatever it is, and then some Ripsalis and the Selenocereus.
This one always flowers for me in my bathroom.
That one's just getting some new growth in it. Now, obviously, like I said, it's the spring now, so we're just getting some new growth.
Just getting it,
fabulous.
And then your nice orbifolia here.
Thank you, yeah. So I bought that pretty large, and in my old apartment, my roommate also had a cat who was a little nippy.
Yeah.
So I purposely placed this one in an area because when he was hungry or mad, he would want to chew on my plants, and this was like the only
pet-friendly. And this wasn't your cat?
No, it was her cat, but this is the only like large pet-friendly plant that I had, so this was the one he would go to chew on. So I'm happy that the leaves are finally looking great. You can see some of the old ones are just like chewed up around the edges. But a lot of the new ones are actually beautiful. A little bit of damage because it's a calathea. And that's just how
this
they
reminds
are.
me when my chicken was running around the house, I'd have little triangle bits taken out. It looks a little different from the cat bites.
Yeah, they're love bites. But yeah.
Oh, fascinating. Well, this is really wonderful. I mean, and then I wanted to show some of your artwork in here. Well, you got a little apothecary of plants right here.
Yeah, those are just some cuttings. A lot of
Yeah.
plants that perhaps were on death's door and just needed to come back. There's that one Aglaonema. I think that's just like a species commutatum. There's that one leaf hanging down on the right too.
Where? I don't even see it. Oh, this one.
Yeah, there's two. There's
Yeah.
another one up there. They're
Oh,
just
here
two
we
different
go.
cuttings,
Yeah.
but they're just like plain like leathery green leaves with a little
Yeah.
bit of variegation to them that I don't know what it's sold to me as a pictum, but it's not a pictum.
No, it's not a pictum.
No.
Yeah. And then these beautiful pieces of artwork in here.
Yes, those are by Aaron Apsley.
Yeah. Oh, here's one. Yeah.
Yeah, that one's a peperomia print right there. So he does watercolor art, and they look very, very real. They look
They
fantastic.
look real, and they also look like the ones that you'd see from, some of those older books. You know what I mean? The book pages that you'd pull out, and you say, "Oh, here's all the peperomias all in one place."
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So if I don't have one, I still get to enjoy it on the prints here.
Indeed,
Which is why I
indeed.
have the Marantaceae print, because
Yeah.
I cannot grow very many pear plants, so I still get to enjoy
The right.
them looking at their best, because
Yeah.
they do not look like that in my home.
Well, thank you, Nick. This is just really wonderful.
Yeah.
And why don't you also have a YouTube channel, so do you want to just plug that?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, you can just follow me on my YouTube channel at Nick Pileggi. It's just my name. And then I'm on Instagram at Philly Foliage.
Amazing. Thank you so much. This is just such a wonderful tour, and I hope you get to stay here for quite some time, especially because you feel like you're at home here, and you definitely have made this into your home, and it looks beautiful. Stay tuned on Plant One On Me for more botanical tours, talks, and how-tos. And if you're looking to further your knowledge on the plant kingdom, then have a look at our various online courses from Troubleshoot Your Houseplants to the Houseplant Masterclass. Additionally, we have a second channel we started last year called Flock Finger Lakes, where we cover more on outdoor gardening, habitat restoration, agroforestry, and even more. So check that out if that interests you. Otherwise, we'll see you in the next episode.